princesses! Today I'm going to be talking about the TonyMoly Pikachu mini cushion blushes. I probably don't have to explain why I bought these because just look at them. I watched Pokemon as a child, like I think every day or every week whenever it was on after school. Me and my family used to watch it, so I was pretty obsessed when the little Pokemon trend came out with Pokemon Go. So of course I had to try out all of the Pokemon themed products. So I have a review on the cushion foundation coming up soon, and I also have the Pikachu Honey Moisture Cream, which I'm going to be doing a review on pretty soon as well. Some of the things that I didn't get were the eye palettes because I really don't wear very much eyeshadow, so I have like shimmery white and that's about it. So it wasn't worth the money for me to buy those. And I also don't think that my eyeshadow reviews are very helpful because I just don't use eyeshadow. I'm not very good at it, so not very helpful. There are also hand creams as well, which I did not need because I just have a million hand creams, and a couple of other moisturizing creams as well. They come in such a big tub, which you guys will see later on, that I didn't need to get all of them, as well as the foaming cleansers as well. If they had done more makeup, I totally would have bought that, but they didn't really do a very big selection of makeup. The other thing is, before I get too far into the review and forget to talk about it properly, is that these are not really original products. So TonyMoly already has a line of cushion blushes called Spoiler Cushions. They're Spoiler Mini Cushions, and they are exactly the same as these but without the Pokemon packaging. So for a couple of extra dollars you get the little Pikachu outer, and you also have the little Pokeball cushion puff as well, but if you don't want to pay the extra money, they are exactly the same as the other blushes too. The product description says, soft, melty, creamy texture gives both cheeks vivid colour stain. One touch gives vivid colour expressed for natural, vital cheeks. Moisture ingredients soft use gives non-powdery moisture finish. Colour pigment particles gives silky fit for long-lasting clear colour. How to use. Apply an appropriate amount onto the puff and pat lightly around the cheeks and reapply a small amount. There are 3 shades in this collection, and they all come housed in the same compact with a different Pikachu face on the front. These all have the usual cushion packaging with a mirror in the compact and a super cute cushion puff. These cushion puffs are shaped like Pokeballs, which is really cute. Inside the compact there is a cushion saturated with liquid blush. There is a substantial amount of blush in the compact, and since you only use a small amount for a small part of your face, these blushes should last quite a long time. Pink Fantasy is a beautiful, super pale pink shade. This shade is so light that I can barely see it on my own arm. But if I pack it onto my cheeks, you can see some colour, but it's very, very subtle. I'm not convinced that someone with darker skin would get a better colour payoff than me. I assumed since I am so pale that I would actually see some colour on my cheeks, but it is so subtle. It is a pretty colour, but when you're not up close with studio lighting, it is pretty hard to tell if I'm wearing blush at all. Rose Coral is a pretty coral shade. This shade shows up much better than the pink shade. This is my favourite shade out of the 3. It actually shows up really nicely on my skin and it doesn't look weird. I think it's quite a flattering colour for warm toned skin too. It looks natural, but you can still see that I'm wearing a blush. The formula of the blushes also blurs my skin a little too, which is very welcome for me. They definitely don't accentuate my pores. Peach Orange is a pastel apricot shade. This shade is another one of the more vibrant shades, even though it is a pastel shade. However, this shade is so easy to over-apply. I literally made myself look like a clown, but at least you can tell what the colour looks like. I found that the biggest challenge with these blushes was the application. The puffs made it really hard to blend the colour out without spreading it over my entire cheek, though I did have some success with a stippling brush, which gave me a much sheerer finish. I'm not the biggest fan of the colour range. I think the pink is way too light and sheer for the majority of princesses to actually wear. And the coral and the orange shade do actually look quite similar, so they could have really gone for a broader range of colours. However, the product is cute and it's quite fun to use. They can look really pretty on the skin if you put enough effort into the application. So I love that these have adorable packaging, and you can get a really nice finish if you use a stippling brush. I don't love that it's really easy to over-apply these with the cushion puffs. I find that the cushion puffs with the two darker shades apply way too much, and it's just really difficult to blend it out nicely with the cushion puff. The problem is that the cushion puff is literally the size of where I would want the blush to be, so you just end up applying so much of it because when you press the puff in, you automatically cover pretty much half of the puff with product just from your fingers. So I ended up looking like a clown quite a few times. They have a really small colour range too. They've got a pink, a coral and an orange, but the coral and the orange aren't really that different, and the pink is so sheer and so light that on many skin tones I really don't think you're going to see it at all. And the packaging is really bulky. They are pretty huge. They are cushions, so I find even for me who hoards makeup, they're really difficult to store because they're just so big. I think these blushes are really cute and they're really fun to use, but in all honesty, they are not the best products for me. I find them really hard to store because the compacts are just so big, and I find them really difficult to apply with the cushion puff, which is pretty much the purpose of having a cushion blush as well. Otherwise, it may as well just be a small liquid blush. I am not wild about the pink colour just because I am really fair and you cannot see it pretty much at all on my skin tone. Even if I really pack it on, I'm not convinced that it's going to show up any better on someone who's got a much darker skin tone than me, so I find that one really difficult to recommend at all. My favourite shade by far is the rose coral shade because I think that it suits me the best, and when I apply it with a stippling brush I do get a really nice application. But I can only use the stippling brush for a small amount of time because of course most of the product is going to be trapped inside the cushion, whereas a stippling brush, even though the longer bristles can get into the cushion a little bit, which is why I use the stippling brush, it's not going to be able to get as much product out. These blushes would be so fun for anybody who is obsessed with Pokemon, but just be wary, they are really big, really hard to store, and the colours are really quite interesting. So I would recommend the TonyMoly Pikachu mini cushion blushes to any princesses who are obsessed with Pokemon, and if you're not really that obsessed with Pokemon and you still want to try out the blushes, definitely try out the spoiler mini blushes. Thank you so much for watching this review, and I'll see you next time.